The Land Acquisition Act of 1894 is the primary act through which all the acquisition has happened today, till date in the country. It was it was enacted by the Britishers for fulfilling their own land and the natural resources need for their own purposes for exploitation. The independent Indian government continues to use that and misuse it and acquiring land for the private companies. A lot of conflicts we are seeing today is precisely on that. And all of this is done in the name of public purpose and development. And that's the prime reason that many of our own slogans, which say that Vikas chahiye vinash nahi, we want development, not destruction. Because people perceive that the land is acquired from us not for development but for destruction, because our livelihoods are being destroyed. So the public purpose today has become the key debate in terms of the Land Acquisition Act. The new act which is coming up at the moment somewhere is going back further what we have been opposing and is not listening to what the movements have been saying all this while, that the public purpose cannot be equated with the private purpose. The acquisition for the private companies cannot be the purpose for which the land can be acquired by the government using its eminent domain power, because the private companies are there not to fulfill the development needs of the country of providing public housing or public education or public health facilities. They are there to make business, to make profit. The land acquisition debate today in the country is linked to the development paradigm, and this is a reaction to whatever the kind of development which we have faced till date. The struggle in the Narmada Valley was a part of it. And in some ways, coming in late 80s, the struggle brought this whole question on what kind of development and what is the development paradigm we need to follow. And that is where the land acquisition debate somewhere is shaped into. Even though the political parties today or the industry would like to say that the land conflicts in this country today are only about compensation. They are not about protection of natural resources, about protection of land, water, forest, or minerals. They will say that people are willing to give land, but only it's a matter of cost. Whereas from the communities, be it from the POSCO, where the largest India's FDI is being opposed, or in Kalinganagar, or in various places, even be it the dams, thermal power plants, or special economic zones, people have been opposing them precisely on the ground that whatever little we have, even if agriculture is not sustainable today, but we want to hold on to the resources we have. And it is not only for our own personal private property, but it's for the next generation, because this is the earth, the nature we belong to, and we want to preserve that. It's for the whole humanity. The struggle is for that. Though the whole debate is focusing towards the larger need for the infrastructure, for the growth. And somewhere the sustainable development paradigm, the debate which was there in 80s, 90s, is now being replaced by sustainable growth idea, as if the growth only mattered. And that is where at the center of the debate, there is a vast majority of this country which is challenging, and where is a tiny minority which is pushing for it, that we need greater growth. And again, the same argument is being pushed forward as in trickle-down theory, that the developments, whatever the growth happens, it will trickle down to the bottom. But masses perhaps are much aware of the fact that it doesn't trickle down. 67 years of independence that has shown us. So we are opposing that. And Narmada debate is extremely crucial in all this situation. The consciousness, the awakening which today people have, it perhaps somewhere because of the Narmada Bachao Andolan's struggle. the fact that we have better environmental laws in the country today is also because of struggles led by Narmada, and also at the same time other struggles like the Bhopal gas disaster people's struggle, where the whole question of corporate accountability came in, and a couple of other anti-dam struggles. Anti-dam struggles have not been only important from the fact of challenging the development paradigm or for challenging the overall way we see resources, natural resources, but also for the fact that the question of land became much central. When we talk about dam, it's associated with water, but the question of land is extremely important to it, and that connection somewhere has been established and re-established by the Narmada struggle. It has also been important for the fact that since after independence, India built a large number of dams, or the other infrastructure projects, the steel projects, but it never cared about people who were displaced by it. So the question of displacement for the first time became a much more central agenda, and it not only became central for the country, but also somewhere it became a much bigger agenda for the international financial institutions, because the World Bank investment was involved in the Narmada, and it put its foot down and said that we will not allow this to happen. The World Bank in 1989 came up with its own guidelines on involuntary displacement. Later on, the struggle in Maheshwar, when then it started targeting, apart from the IFIs, other international banks or the donors who were putting their money into Maheshwar, or even the Indian banks, be it Punjab National Bank or State Bank of India, when they were putting in money into Maheshwar Dam, they also challenged that. So the struggle in the Narmada overall has also given, apart from many other tactics which movements across the country are using today, also the fact that you should target the finances, because that's a very important part of the struggle. We nearly have today 10 crore people, which is like 100 million people who have been displaced till date by various infrastructure projects, and the government's record of resettling and rehabilitation is extremely poor, merely 17 to 20%. Government doesn't even have a proper data of the number of people who have been displaced by these projects. So that is extremely essential that now